Today, I'm going to share with you information about a cryptid local to my area here in South Texas, as well as a story I heard from a friend claiming to have physically seen the creature. Details change area to area, so please don't get upset if you've heard something wrong or weird. I'm just trying to share the information that I know we talk about here in my hometown. I hope you enjoy. Lechuza is a witch. Supposedly born from a woman shortly dying after seeing her children killed in front of her, it is a vengeful creature that only seeks to kill. Taking the form of a bird, most notably an owl, she is said to call out even in the middle of the day. If you were to hear a strange bird call, you are told not to repeat it back, lest you become a target of the creature. Those claimed to have seen Lechuza say it's roughly 3 times the size of a barn owl and moves erratically, shifting in ways not natural and unnervingly. It shrieks when seen and can cackle like a mad woman when it escapes. With the face of a human, it can fully emote and even speak to a person if they were insane enough to approach it. Few stories seem to corroborate the idea that Lechuza can shapeshift as more than just an owl, but as a spindly-legged creature much larger than a full-sized van. There's no general consensus on how many legs or any other notable features aside from the fact that it is black, much like when it's in its owl form. Regardless, it is known to eat people and be tenacious in doing so, pursuing a person until they go insane with its constant calls and scratching at their windows or knocking over vehicles just to get to the tender meat inside. With something similar that has happened to a friend of mine. My friend, let's call him James, was out camping with some friends. Having just finished high school, he snuck a few beers in the cooler of his truck and decided to go party in the woods. The woods around a good chunk of Texas are not the tall oaks or pines you'd see anywhere else, but a short, dense brush and mesquite trees that would scratch you up real good if you felt the need to run through it. Driving out to a classmate's ranch, he was a few miles away from the main road, far from any cops that would crash the graduation party. The main road itself was just a farm road out in the middle of nowhere, placing him about a good 30 to 40 minutes away from actual society. Sounds like it was quite the rager. He got to the party fine, having picked up a friend and only got lost a couple times on the never-ending farm roads and then the maze of brush and dirt trails through the ranch itself. But once he got there, it was, as the kids would say today, lit AF. About 14 or 15 people made it out, only some of which were his actual classmates. There was booze and babes and beer pong, a high school grad's wet dream. Taking the guns out, they occasionally shot the small unfortunate bird or white-tailed deer drawn over to see what the hubbub was about. Music blasted from the truck's radios, playing out the hottest hits from the early 2010s. They shot thermite, set up a bonfire, and even took their time going out to the woods, 2 at a time. Overall, a pretty good party by redneck standards. James felt a bit buzzed, but was still good enough to drive once the fire started to die down a little. The stars were out and glittered beautifully, unhindered by any competing light sources. Some of the partygoers left a little bit earlier, leaving him, his guest, the owner of the ranch, and a few buds. With only 2 trucks between them, they picked what they could and figured they can all sort it all up in the morning. As he dumped ice from his cooler, James heard a loud shuffling sound behind his right shoulder, deep within the brush. Figuring it could be his friends getting it on, he paid it no mind as he picked up what he could and threw it in the truck bed. But the sound grew louder and louder, closer and closer until it was at the edge of the trail. Growing a bit unnerved, he picked up his pace, trying not to look like a loser in front of his friends. Then, louder than any bird cry he's ever heard, it screeched. The sound was piercing. Like a wounded animal, it called out. One of the remaining partygoers was as drunk as a skunk and laughed. As the drivers got in their trucks, the guy thought it would be funny if he imitated it. After a few moments, a strange shadow burst from the brush and into the sky. Freaking out, some of the friends pulled the drunk guy in the back of the truck as the drivers hit the gas. James's truck was behind, following close behind the guy whose family owned the ranch, quickly navigating the dirt trails and swerving around fallen trees. Looking into his rearview mirror, he saw it. A massive bird, quickly gaining on the speeding truck. Hitting the horn, he bumped the truck ahead of him to go faster, trying not to tear his sight away from the creature growing closer and closer behind. It bumped against the truck a few times as James and his friend screamed on the inside. With the imitator in the truck ahead, it didn't want James's truck, but that didn't stop one of the guys in the back from the truck ahead from throwing an empty keg at the creature itself. Hitting the bird, it stumbled back, screeching all the while. James nearly dodged the keg and bird creature, nearly being ran off the road in the process. As the two trucks blazed on ahead, they feverishly looked in every mirror for what they could of the creature. Nearing the edge of the ranch, they saw a giant, spider-like creature, barely larger than the trees, come barreling towards them, its long legs quickly surging it forward and doggedly chasing the two trucks. As James kept pressing forward, he heard a loud blast from ahead of him. One of the shotguns found their way into the truck bed ahead, and the guy shot it at the creature. With another shriek, it continued to chase, edging closer and closer. Quickly turning onto the farm road, James took the lead. Roaring ahead, he heard one of the people nearly fall off in the truck behind, screaming for their life. The two trucks floored it and made it onto the farm road. Now with asphalt under their tires, they screamed down the highway. As they made it back to town, they saw that whoever was falling off must have made it, since their head count matched everyone they left with, thankfully. I tried asking him if the drunk friend who imitated Lechuza ever saw it again, but he says he hasn't spoken to that friend since the party. Hopefully, he's still out there alive. With that will do for today's story. Please let me know if you enjoy more stuff like this with cryptids and the like. I can see what I can fish up. In a similar vein, what stories do you have with the supernatural? I genuinely would love to hear it. With that, I'll be back with another story soon. Thanks for watching.